All right, good morning, good evening, everyone. This is the editor group product and design sync for July 28th, 2021. And yeah, Michael, I'll hand it over to you for your agenda item.
Cool. So this week's bit light. I'm just going to talk about just bringing attention to one of the comments I had around the commit flow. So I started looking at the commit flow because I was taking a look at this idea of following up on the issue about creating patches. And after talking about this with uh, Paul, we decided that it doesn't really make too much sense to lump um, patch creation and patch download with commit actions, where from a developer standpoint, a patch is kind of almost at this level where you're viewing the changes in one giant file. So that's the direction that issue is going. But as part of that, I was looking at this block here and thinking about how would I make this more pajamas, and then I kind of got into this kind of flow, and then wrote down the different states that this commit area could have. So this is taking examples throughout the different areas within GitLab and seeing, can we standardize this bit here? So here's one with like the commit message. Here's where you have a new branch, and some of the stuff here is to like expand on the buttons. Amy, I haven't adopted your label suggestions yet, but I will get to that later this week. But in theory, I feel like we could do some cleanup from the web IDE level, and this could like be kind of like a stepping stone towards standardizing the commit flow. So for example, within the single file editor, you have a commit message like this, but if we were going to update this to be aligned with pajamas, we normally have labels on top anyways. So if we go like that, we could then leverage that same widget or component that we created in the web IDE world over here. And I feel like this is a clear way of handling branch selection when you're um, uh, making changes. Because at the moment here, it's just free text. But if you change it, then like a magical text box appears that says, oh, you're creating a new branch, which is like different from everywhere else. So I would say that the web IDE has a cleaner flow, like a more structured flow of creating a branch or having actions like that. Um, so here's how like the wiki kind of works right now. The wiki doesn't have branch selection. It's just like one branch only. So you wouldn't have any branch selection yet. But thinking of it from a component kind of standpoint, it's the same component, but these actions are hidden. So thinking about that, we almost could approach standardizing the commit flow from two two areas. One is the commit actions itself, like this widget and this thing here being standard across all areas within GitLab where you commit something. And then the other thing that is to be determined is where, like, how do we invoke this view? Like, do we have the button in the top right? And like, how would that look? Will it pop out something like this? Is there a modal? Is there a drawer? And that's up for debate and discussion within the issue. We don't really have a clear direction on this, but yeah, yeah, just that's where I'm at with thinking of the commit flow. What is might be interesting here is this is what I had in mind when we were talking about standardizing the commit flow throughout GitLab. Is this what you had in mind too, Eric, or were you thinking something much bigger?
No, this is exactly what I was thinking. I really like the consistency and seeing it applied in these 3 different places. Makes me really happy. I really like seeing it consistent across experiences, and this is what we were kind of talking about, which is like the ability to extend the experience in context of the type of commit that you're making. So for example, on the wiki, you don't have branch selection, so you don't need that area of it, but it doesn't feel unnatural. It doesn't feel like something's missing. So I think that's a great approach. And then I think this is a great example of where we can iterate. So we can get the commit flow as a sort of structured and componentized module that then can, we can extend it as we need to in different UI and presentations. So that whether it's a panel or a modal, we can explore those and validate those and see if the same UI can be displayed in different ways, but in ways that can make it even more useful or more relevant given the context of what you're doing. But I feel like once we kind of abstract it away into this component, this building block that we can put on a page and keep consistent with pajamas and keep consistent experience, then we have the freedom to explore that later. So, I mean, I think the immediate next steps would be to try and create a commit component that follows these guidelines in the UI and uses the pajamas style, and then start applying it. There's probably three issues there, like apply it in web IDE, apply it in single file editor, apply it in wiki. And so, I mean, that's a pretty solid approach right there.
I think starting within the web IDE might be a good spot for this, either the web IDE or the wiki itself. The reason I say that is because the web IDE kind of has this layout now and a green commit button, which is like out of pajamas anyway, like it's not falling pajamas. So that could be a candidate. The other approach would be build it from brand new within the wiki area. But yeah, I can look into that. Like look into like breaking this down or creating the issue for approach, like creating a component for this.
Extracting it from the web IDE, I think, makes the most sense.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but if most of the functionality is there, as well as it's probably the most coupled and entangled to like the data and the existing logic, so trying to extract it from there would force us to design it in a way that it's the most reusable given all of the functionality that we want.
Cool. Yeah, and that's a great point. So thanks for that, Chad. The other reason that this came up was within the design team, a lot of people were asking about the behavior of this button. And thanks for chiming in on this, Chad, about like how this button turns into discard draft once you type stuff in here, and all it does is clear this box. So the collapse button like hides shows and does funny stuff. So that's just something that we probably could, I would say, remove because there's really no need for it. But yeah.
Where does the help text link go currently?
Not sure, Amy. I'm not sure. Oh, it's not. So it's a pop-up that tells you that you need to write a commit message that's in 50 characters so that it's formatted nicely in Git. And then it starts highlighting things in orange and yellow to show where wrapping may appear if you get into the like this 75 character zone.
Would it be helpful for new users if we structured that into the example message, the placeholder?
Yeah, we can explore that. I think that's a good idea.
We
Or even
see,
how useful that whole message is. Because it's like an essay within a pop-up, a
yeah,
popover. If you ever, yeah. So there's probably an opportunity here to like clean it up, leverage like counters, like the word counters. So yeah, maybe we can rethink that whole little bit.
extra complexity. Sorry.
Simplicity, my friend. Simplicity. We do the hard work so that the users don't have to figure out what this magical question mark will reveal.
The reason I thought of that, the docs team tends to get a decent percentage of commits from folks who don't normally contribute to GitLab otherwise. And we've gotten pretty skilled at interactive rebases to deal with the terrible things that users do in their commits. So anything we can do to put guardrails in place so that I don't have to remember how to do interactive rebases when I'm barely awake, that'd be super cool.
So would that be more on the merge request page versus this page, or would you say this page here is guardrails, like, hey, make sure you do X, Y, Z for this thing?
The guardrails are here because if your commit does not meet GitLab's expectations and you only have the one commit and you don't know to check the squash commits box, you have a red pipeline forever and ever until somebody comes along and does an interactive rebase and rewords your commit.
Yes, this is a good point. For example, there could be a structure with the commit message, like a certain format that you need to follow. That could also result in broken pipelines as well. Yeah, having those guardrails is something that we like touched very lightly with the static site editor, where we wanted you to like kind of fill out this block of text and this block of text, and the idea was for us to like combine that all into a merge request, or like help you tick the necessary boxes before committing. I don't think it's for this iteration, but I think that's a really good idea for the future about how we could display what rules are being followed here. Because I get burnt all day, every day, doing anything for pajamas, and I forget to use like the formatting for the commit messages, and everything is broken, and then it's like I fix it, but then no, it's 3 commits earlier that I didn't like update properly, and it's it's cool.
What might be simpler for a simple iteration would be planning on a line of help text, and we let the help text carry the weight, and I could come back in and supply changes to it later.
The thing to be aware of there is all of those, especially like the capitalization, the period, the extra line, those are all just GitLab's internal standards. Those aren't Git-wide standard. And even the message length, I really never followed it before here when I was forced to. Many people don't, so it's not really something we could put in the product.
Okay.
Or at least not hard-coded. We could make it configurable.
Yeah, definitely I see it more a configurable thing, because you could have teams that say you need to prefix all your messages with the issue number in a certain way, or so that's why I think it's a future thing, but how we incorporate that configuration seems the right way, or yeah, or you can set some rules.
Okay. Yeah, I'm again totally fine with iteration, but I'll just sit here and ask questions. So carry on.
And that's all I had.
Thanks. I was trying to keep up with notes. I didn't do a very good job, but this was great. I think on that last point about like customizing the rules and behavior of the commit flow or the commit message box, I think that's a really interesting way that we could extend it in later iterations, like you said, Michael. But you know, we have an epic to capture things around the behavior of the editor and like get attributes and what's the other editor config and things like that. So you can have the IDE and single file editor behave the way you want your editor to behave. I could see a future where we extend that into your enforcing the commit patterns that you want, the commit message patterns in the commit flow, and then doing that consistently across the product with one design pattern and one, you know, consistent look. That'd be really great if you could do it once and have it take effect on the pipeline editor, the single file editor, you know, snippets and web IDE, and maybe even wiki. That would be amazing. So
Stupid question time, because I don't know the answer about the product. Where are those commit rules defined? I'm kind of looking at Chad and hoping he can bail me out here.
They're in the docs, I think. Yeah, aren't they? I'm
I
pretty sure
was
they're in the docs in the section about like maybe merge request review guidelines. I would have to search for it.
but do you mean the actual enforcement, like in the pipeline, so that where you build the rules?
right.
Oh, they're cops maybe. Maybe it's RuberCop or some other linter stage. You know about linters.
I'm gonna roll my eyes at you, Chad.
No, that's how I first found out you were so awesome when you were like coming along. Can I help fix the linters on dev? And I was like, yes, please. If you shoot me a DM so I don't forget about it, I can try to dig through them.
Because what I was getting to was, all right, if the rules change per installation, can we link to where the rules are?
Right.
I was hoping there was something in settings, but it does appear to be something more like a lint rule than an actual GitLab setting.
No, it's somewhere in our pipeline, I'm sure. And it's also enforced by the left hook rules, like the pre-commit hooks. If you configure those right, it'll tell you, which is great, but you can't count on contributors to do that.
Okay,
And
so
Amy's struggle with the interactive rebasing.
Chad have messaged you, so I think we can carry on.
Cool. Well, I thought that was great. Michael, I will follow up with those issues. Probably just create an epic to capture this discussion once and for all. I think this is great exploration. You can put these designs or in whatever form you want on that epic when I create it. And then I think this is a great thing to pick up soon. The one last thing I'll note is I think this is very timely because of the conversation we were having in Slack recently or this morning for you, and potentially being able to shift our focus to the state management of the web IDE and that file panel in general. So this is right there in line with that. And if we're in that area of code, hopefully state management, file management, commit flow, this is a great area of focus for us over the next probably quarter.
Exciting stuff.
Cool. Well, thanks for running us through it. I think it looks great.
Awesome. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.